I'd like to welcome you to BOI Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to BOI Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
Hello, BOI Meets Wellness community. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you're enjoying the podcast, we would appreciate your review on Apple Podcasts. Head over to Apple Podcasts and share the love. You can also send us an email at boymeetswellness@gmail.com. Send us your celebrations, praises, questions, or maybe you have someone in your community who's incredible who should be interviewed. Today's episode features my friend and healer, Meckell Milburn. Meckell, she and her pronouns, is the steward of Revolutionary Healing, a holistic health and wellness organization that supports healing of the mind, body, and spirit through offerings such as wellness coaching, spiritual healing, meditation, yoga, and plant medicine. Meckell is grateful to have been evolving in the wellness industry for more than a decade and is committed to centering the experiences of Black women and non-binary folks in her work. Her mission is to support Black folks in reclaiming access to our divine wisdom. Meckell holds a master's degree in Integrative Health and is a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach. Outside of her professional life, she's a nap-connoisseur, an avid runner, and a lover of world travel. This interview is amazing. I'm so excited about it, and it also includes a free wellness resource. So make sure you listen to the end of this episode. Our wellness tip of the week is to add some turmeric to your diet. Turmeric is a yellow spice that often turns your dish like this milky looking yellow. It's also a powerful spice that is found to be anti-inflammatory, which means it's good for sore muscles. It also has antioxidants in it, which has been tied to help you feel and look younger, and also has been known to be a protector of heart disease. I drink my turmeric in tea form. You can add some almond milk or coconut milk, honey or agave, and you got a healthy, tasty treat. So try that. Add some turmeric to your diet. It doesn't have to be in tea form. You can add it to a dish. You can look it up on Google. Some recipes with turmeric, but I suggest it, especially if you're having any issues with inflammation or circulation. So that's the wellness tip of the week. Today's episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production company that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories, art, and journeys of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. We're so thankful for everyone who has been sporting boy gear. You're obviously born obviously incredible. Head over to boygearstore.com and use code SUMMER to get 20% off your order today. And now for our interview with Meckell. Happy Friday. I hope you enjoy. Hello, world. Welcome to BOI Meets Wellness. I'm extremely excited about today's interview. Meckell, welcome to the community. Can you please let folks know your full name, pronouns, and what brings you joy?
Ooh, good question. So my name is Meckell Milburn. I use she, her pronouns. And what brings me joy? This can change day to day. Today, it is stillness, finding moments of stillness.
That's beautiful. Where do you usually do that? Like, are you a more outside, inside, on the ground? You know, how do you get still?
Well, one thing that I have learned is that I have to remain open to my needs and access to stillness shifting. And so right now, especially, as things have changed so much in the past few months. So right now, laying in bed at night, lights out, being able to do some deep breathing, some gratitude practice, and just really trying to be still in my body. That has been really beautiful lately.
Thank you for sharing that. So can you tell the audience a little bit just about who you are? Where did you grow up? Where do you live now?
Who am I? Who's Meckell? Meckell is constantly evolving. I am a very family-oriented person. I feel deeply committed to listening to my heart and to spirit and moving through life according to that rhythm. I'm from Louisiana originally, Opelousas, whoop whoop.
Woo woo.
And both sides of my family for several generations. So that's where my roots get watered. That is where I feel my heart is, where home truly is. Though I spent most of my formative years in Las Vegas, Nevada, which I also have family there. So I have a deep love for Las Vegas as well. And then I'm currently in Los Angeles, California, but I'm based in the Bay Area.
That's beautiful. So all the places you have really tapped into are really warm places, right? Like I think
Yes,
there's a thing there for warmth that you love.
there is. And I always go back and forth between the heat in Vegas and the heat in Louisiana and which is worse. And I think Louisiana wins that one with the humidity alone, but Vegas definitely is a contender there.
So how have you been doing during COVID-19? That's one thing I've been trying to ask all guests. Like, are you able to keep a wellness practice right now? Or are you just, I know I was at a point a couple of weeks ago where I was feeling, I was like, it was hitting me. So I was really feeling the mourning of it, like mourning my plans for 2020, but also mourning like what we were as a world and this new normal that we're going into. So how are you? How are you doing during the pandemic, and how's your wellness practice been?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I have really, well, first I'll say I feel very grateful because I can recognize that I do have privileges at this time. I am able to have income coming in. Though I have lost family members, they're considering my entire family, most of us have been safe and healthy, and similarly for myself as well. So holding that, I can look at this pandemic as being full of opportunity, particularly opportunity for expansion. I have expanded so much in the past several months and really had to come to understand where my grounding is, particularly like in the midst of what one might call chaos or unprecedented times, understanding what keeps me grounded, working to stay connected to that and to be in constant communication with myself so that I can know what my wellness practices need to be at any given time. And so you asked about my wellness practice. That has actually, you talk about this quite a bit, but a morning routine, and for me, a morning and night routine has really been a practice that I found my wellness is rooted in right now. And that practice for me is waking up and meditating and moving my body, so doing some yoga, setting my intentions for the day, and trying to do that before I get completely overwhelmed in all of the needs and the different directions that my energy can get pulled in, aka my phone, my email, my text messages. So that practice has been really helpful. And similarly, in the evenings, trying to cut off by 8 p.m. technology, trying to do some reading, some deep breathing, some talking to my family, and really just, I'll say, give my body a time to relax. The technology is so addictive, and I have just noticed throughout this pandemic too, just my craving for distraction sometimes, because we are confined to a particular space. So I think it's natural to want to escape. And if you can't really go somewhere physically, escaping through technology, escaping through the internet, a rabbit hole on YouTube or Netflix, can be great distraction. I recognize that while that felt like what my body was needing, in actuality, having a time to cut off and reconnect with my body at the end of a day that I've been engaging in technology a lot has been really restorative. And so there's this concept of discipline that I've been really learning more about lately, which for me, I initially thought it was like, this is the thing that you have to do all the time. You have to stick with it. That's discipline. You have to meditate every day. It has to look like this. Just push yourself. And I've moved more into, okay, discipline is knowing what is best for me and what is most nourishing for me in a particular moment. While I'm leaning towards going on YouTube right now and just watching videos for the rest of the night, I know in order for me to get the most restful sleep and feel better, sleep and disconnecting is what feels best.
Thank you for that. Oh, I needed to hear that. I've been really struggling with that. That's one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is discipline, because I feel like I had a routine before all of this. And I haven't been able to get grounded in it. And I've been feeling shame, and guilt around it. But I love the way you said, like, really tapping in and asking that question of like, what do I need to nourish me in this moment? I think that that's so much easier than trying to be so rigid right now, because I'm like, we're living through a whole pandemic. I have both sides. One side is like, you need a routine. The other side is like, it's a pandemic. Just be free, do what you need. But I'm like, but I know that my body craves it, right? Like it needs it. So I love the frame on nourishment, which is what I really appreciate about you, Meckell. I feel like as a healer, your thought process is so revolutionary, which is very interesting. When we think about your brand and your business. So tell the community about like what pays the bills, right? A little bit about your formal training, but also about like what feeds your soul.
Yes. So revolutionary healing is something that has come to fruition over the past few years. And there are so many different parts of my life that have fed into what I consider this container for transformation and for healing. Part of that is the professional path. So I have my bachelor's in psychology and my master's in integrative health, and really have been blessed to have been connected to a health and wellness field for 13 years now, which started off really in sexual health and HIV prevention. And it was through that path I recognized how intersectional health is, and that we are all on these individual paths that are very unique to us, though they hold very shared experiences as humans. And so as I evolved in that field and started learning about the many different ways that people view their health, and like you kind of mentioned, feelings of guilt and shame and things like that. And, there were these shared experiences that kept surfacing. And one thing that I knew about myself since childhood is that creating space is something that was a gift of mine. I didn't plan it, but from childhood, people would tell me, I just feel really comfortable with you, or I feel like I could share this with you and you wouldn't judge me. And so that became a very integral part in my work in health and wellness, was like creating this space where people could just talk and unload and be held and be seen and be validated. And I didn't really know what to call that, but I knew that I felt nourished by being able to just walk in my purpose, and people were telling me that they were feeling really nourished as well by that space. And so that ended up, one name for it, as I recognize, is like this health and wellness, almost like coaching field, because it does provide a platform for that to happen. But there was another piece which is my spiritual journey and my understanding of the divine. And that came along from a third sort of journey in my life, which is me understanding myself as a reflection of God and working to just continue expanding my understanding of myself, because I'd heard in one of my classes, actually, this amazing professor defined a healer as someone who is committed to their own healing, period. And that really transformed my understanding of the work that I'm here in the world to do, because I have to be committed to my own nourishment, my own healing. That's the way that I can listen to what Spirit is saying, listen to what my inner wisdom is saying, listen to what other people are saying, and be there with intention and be there with love. And so it's so vital in order to walk the path that I feel like I was brought here to walk, which is to create space for folks to also do that, reconnect with themselves, reconnect with their inner wisdom, reconnect with spirit or the source of creation that they feel connected with, and to access healing, whatever that looks like for them. And so I feel grateful that all of these parts of my life came together to create revolutionary healing. So I do feel deeply grateful to be able to have these offerings. So right now people can connect for what is called holistic wellness coaching, where we can do some meditation one-on-one. And one component that feels really exciting that's coming is adding yoga and movement practices, all of which kind of serve that original purpose, offering these different ways for people to connect and for people to be able to reconnect and for folks to then be able to access healing. And I walk that journey. I walk that journey with them.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So what has been, I guess I want to ask you, because I think what you really showcased to us is this story of like you finding your way, finding your journey to be here as a healing practitioner, not only in the work, but leading the work. Mm-hmm. So my question for you are like, what are some of the challenges and what are some of the celebrations of being a healing practitioner?
Some of the challenges and some of the
joys, the celebrations.
The joy, the celebrations. I think challenge-wise, for me, I've had to learn that everyone will feel connected to my work. And that I think initially I'm like, oh, this is, it's wellness and it's healing, but understanding that every person is on a different part of their journey and their healing is going to look very different. And so still being able to show up with love at the times when people are not, when they recognize that what I may have to offer is not their medicine. That's been something that I've really had to grow to recognize. So I guess even that, which started off as a challenge to understand, kind of grew into more of an understanding and really framed for me that each person that I was able to connect with we were brought for a divine purpose, and so that too, I think it is part of the joy. Being able to like my flow. This is my flow. Being able to see people, like being able to truly like see someone, and for folks to really walk away feeling like they have found their joy, like they have been able to reconnect with a part of themselves that they thought was lost. That part, I'm like smiling, I'm able to really just, again, like recommit to myself that this is the path for me. I'm like, okay. Because of course we all go through ups and downs. And as someone who is also a human being who is growing and healing and on their own individual journey, that part I think is always going to be present too, which I think could also be considered a challenge, is understanding my humanness in any given moment and being able to create space unapologetically for where I'm at, because only once I do that can I fully show up in other spaces and for other people. I have to first show up for myself. So that's an ongoing work and challenge.
Yeah, I think you taught me that, Meckell, this coming from that overflowing cup. I remember a couple of years ago talking to you about, really trying to figure out just my relationship to food. And that's when you brought up Sean Stevenson. And that was like a big shift in my life, because finding him and just hearing his podcast, I was like very inspired. And, recently I was on your website and I seen that you had like a free vegan 30-day note course book, and I downloaded it and I was like, I think I might be able to do this, just from some of the questions that you were asking in the beginning of the course book. So I was wondering if you could just tap into that aspect of the business. What made you want to do this particular course, and a little bit about your vegan identity.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to hear that you downloaded it. Oh, I can't wait to hear these thoughts. I do feel very connected to that process. So yeah, I'll share a little bit more about that. So one part of the work that I feel very much invigorated by is about food and, just plant medicine, period. So that's food and herbal medicine as healing. And about 10 years ago, I first became vegan. And that was such an opportunity for me to learn more about what nourishment looked like from the food lens. It was an opportunity for me to learn a lot about food systems and the ways that our health and wellness are externally being impacted by the food systems we're a part of. And just really reclaiming a relationship with like plant-based food, which growing up, I really didn't honor. I ate a ton of like processed food, as many people did. So as I started that journey, and again, I'm from Louisiana, so it was like I had three heads. At this time, there wasn't a large vegan population in rural Louisiana. People weren't really talking about it. They didn't have soy milk at Piggly Wiggly yet. So my family would start asking me questions like, what is this? Or what can you eat? Like, what's happening here? And through that process of engaging with them and sharing the things that I was learning, I actually wrote a mini book at that time that was called Vegan Essentials or something like that. And it was just for my friends and family. And I just passed it out to folks who were curious. And the course that I is based on that. So it's based off of this love offering to my community from 10 plus years ago. And the reason why I felt like it was really important was because when I was strictly vegan, like I think it was like for 3 years, I was what I considered a strict vegan, though there was a couple of times that I had like eaten some fish or something like that. And I remember being in conversation with this vegan white girl that I worked with at the time. And I'd happened to mention that I had maybe eaten fish in the last year or something like that. And she called me a vegan liar. And I was like, wait,
wow.
What? It was like this visceral response, like, wait, what's happening right now? There's so much I've learned. I feel so good. Like this is something I feel really connected to. And yes, I ate fish within the last year. Like, why is there this shame that I feel like she's trying to put on me? So I think that's behind this course is like, how can you access increasing plants in your diet without feeling like you have to swear off any animal products for the rest of your life? Like you have to dive in head first and just make this commitment that can feel so overwhelming. And many of us come from cultures with rich food traditions that might include, meat or dairy. Or there are holidays or, things that I think people would, well, based off of talking to folks, feel more comfortable opting in when they know that they have a choice. And so it's offered with these step-by-step tips on understanding what works best for you. So in the course book, there's like this 30-page course book with all of these activities that I designed.
It's phenomenal, everyone. It is phenomenal.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. And that's really what it's for. So as I market the course as like, this is so you can learn about what all the hype is about plant-based diets, and then you make a choice. So whether you want to try vegan for 1 week or the rest of your life, here is a 30-day path. So the course is called Trying Vegan, a 30-day course for the curious. And that is what the intention is. If you're curious about it, here, you don't have to commit to anything, but you can have access to this too without needing a label, So yeah, and I'll share this as well. So it's free currently on my website, www.revolutionaryhealing.org. And when I first created the course earlier this year, I was like, I'm going to launch this, people out here. We got Danielle Leslie out here hitting 10 mil in her online course. I'm like, okay, level up 2020. And what ended up happening, I had planned this launch and everything. And Spirit kept telling me, slow down, like just really urging me to slow down and really take a look at the work I was producing and my intention behind it. And I really needed to take a step back and reconnect with that, because I think somewhere along that line, I was like more focused on the marketing and the numbers than the intention for the course. And so I decided to market it for free, at least through the end of 2020. It will be available for free. And so that is my love offering, and it just connects back to the original reason why I created the mini book. I hope y'all enjoy.
So the one thing I always think about in regards to like being vegan is athletes. So what I've seen the last few years is like when basketball, football, even baseball, when they get near championship or playoffs, a lot of folks go vegan. Like they know the power of it. But I think what you speak of, that a lot of them speak of, is like, this isn't necessarily something I'm going to do year round, but I know that it nourishes my body. It makes me perform well. So what are some of the pros that you see from a vegan lifestyle? Can you share that with our community? Because I know people are interested, but I know that also I'm a performance junkie, so I'm always interested in like how things make me feel better, and show up better.
Well, most folks, including myself, just report literally feeling better overall, like feeling better in your body, feeling a little lighter, if that makes sense. And this is not about, like weight. So for some folks, they do experience weight loss, but I'm feeling lighter in a sense of like just energetically. Having an increase in energy is definitely something folks experience. On the research side, decrease in risk of many of the things that we hear impacting Black and Brown communities. So type 2 diabetes, hypertension, so obesity as well. So those, I think, alone are some some pluses, but I think there are some very real impacts that shifting diets, period, but particularly for a vegan lifestyle or more plant-based lifestyle, is a recognition about your food and where your food comes from. It's like it's this byproduct of being on that path when you start reading labels more and you start paying attention to the really strange places that animal products can end up that you would never think about. I remember my coworkers and I, many would walk to the grocery store to get some celebratory cookies for an office event, and looking at the ingredients, they were like pink little fluffy cookies with sprinkles on them, and one of the ingredients was like beef. Things like that. But if I hadn't been in the practice of just reading labels, it wouldn't be something that I would become aware of. So I think there's an ownership that comes from being able to pay more attention to what's in our food and choose in each moment to give ourselves something that's nourishing. And that's what we're saying about what discipline can be. So being able to at each meal decide what would be most for me in that moment, and knowing that plants have such a way of revitalizing our system, adding more alkaline to our system, which is usually a much more acidic environment, which creates a host of different health issues. So being able to offer our bodies an opportunity to just feel better on a cellular level, on a physical level, on a mental level. Clarity. People talk about clarity and feeling more connected to sense of source of creation. So there are so many things that people benefit from. And again, opting into a plant-based lifestyle, you have the information. And so you're able to not only make those choices, but see for yourself what the benefits are and how you feel. So
y'all better get into this. Y'all getting all the gems. Y'all getting a free course, right? Like there's no excuse to not try, right? Like one thing about shifting your mindset is being curious, right? So even if you've just been curious about it, you've heard your good friend is vegan and now their skin done cleared up and you like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
We're going to leave all that information in the show notes for everyone. So please be sure to check it out. Meckell, we are all about manifesting here at BOI Meets Wellness. So I want you to kind of think, gather yourself into your future and let us know, where do you see yourself in revolutionary healing in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, sitting in a pandemic, it's hard to, no. In 5 years, well, I definitely just see more people accessing the resources and having the resources grow, right? Like, again, like yoga's coming soon, but there are also a plethora of free resources to access on the website, like free meditations and, activities that can help to understand where we may be out of balance in our lives right now. So I definitely see more people learning about the resource and more people reaching out, both on the one-on-one, but also being able to work in community more. So at Revolutionary Healing, we center Black women and non-binary folks. And so really wanting to reach the folks that we set our heart intention to reach, especially right now, like taking the time to lift up and see and affirm Black folks is something that feels very important. So yeah, seeing that grow. Also, I actually see becoming a platform for other people who consider themselves walking this walk and providing service, healing work, whatever you may call it, whatever language you may use. But yeah, becoming a platform for folks to connect with other healers would be amazing. Yeah, plant medicine, which is another part of the work that we do. I see that as growing as well, but really just deepening my intentions and work in the areas that currently exist to make sure that we're meeting the need better and better each year. So I hope that I am a better human being in 5 years and that I am continuing to expand and just learn more about myself and be able to stay connected to this path.
Beautiful. I can see that definitely. And I know that I'll be on that path with you, still enjoying so many of the amazing resources and hopefully being able to provide that for you as well. Because I think what you speak about in your work is about it being a collaboration often with your clients, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's not this singular individual journey that you're on. So how can folks connect with you if they want to work with you, if they want to learn more? Do they just go over to the website, or is there a particular way that you like potential clients to reach out?
Yeah, the hub for ways to connect with me is on the website, again, revolutionaryhealing.org. And there are very, more formal paths you can actually find time for both of us. You could also email me at info@revolutionaryhealing.org. I'm very responsive on email. I'm on Instagram, revolutionary.healing. And I am also on YouTube, which you can also search Revolutionary Healing. So I'm responsive on all of those platforms and just really excited to connect with folks.
And quick question, Meckell, folks don't have to live in California, right? Like you're doing virtual sessions, people can connect with you that way as well.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Yeah, definitely. One thing that I've learned during this pandemic time is that the virtual space can be really helpful to increase access. And so, yeah, wherever you are in the world, please feel free to connect. Yeah, for sure. We'd love to hear from you.
So before we jump into our final segment, Boy Talk and Hop, is there anything else you want the Boy Meets Wellness community to know about you, about Revolutionary Healing, about your journey as a healing practitioner?
The only thing that comes to mind right now, to be completely honest, is to say, Black people, I love you. Black people, I see you, and Revolutionary Healing is here for you. Mm-hmm.
Black people, I heard you. I hope you heard your call out, Black people. We love you, Black people. Yes. You got to bring that in. The Black joy, the Black love, the Black celebration. So Boy Talking Hop is kind of like a fill in the blank just to see, where your mind's at, how you think. So I'm just going to give you some phrases and you just fill in the blank on your other end. You ready to jump in?
Let me think about it. Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
So the first one is, my favorite song is...
Ooh, my favorite song is No Rain, Blind Melon. 90s alternative for you.
I appreciate that the last few folks I've interviewed has definitely taken us back. I love that. Keep it going. I love the 90s alternative. So the next one is Money is...
Money is abundant.
Love is...
I won't say abundant because I just said it again, but love is nourishing.
If you could speak to anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? What would you do?
Ooh, Barack Obama. Barack Obama. Yeah, I would. I just really want to sink in and chop it up. Maybe have a glass of wine and learn about his experience and maybe squash some myths and conspiracy theories I may have. Yeah, I'm just very curious to pick his brain.
Shouts out to Uncle Barack. Shouts out. My favorite food is...
Boudin.
Yes.
I mean, for folks who have ever been to Louisiana, I'm Creole. You got to go to rural Louisiana, though. New Orleans doesn't have good boudin, but go to rural Louisiana. It's like a French sausage. It's very good. It's not vegan, though. Maybe that's something I could create. But yeah, very delicious.
Extremely delicious. And if you can get it from a native, someone who lives in that town, like they're gonna tell you where the spot is. Don't just go by yourself. You gotta ask community so you get you some good. My favorite book is
The Alchemist. The Alchemist. Though I'm reading one right now as a part of my yoga practice, which is called The Yamas and Niyamas, and it's about yoga, not the poses, but more of the philosophy. And wow, it is calling me out and just like really contributing to my expansion right now. So I would recommend that book too.
Wellness is
so vital.
Healing is
ongoing.
And last but never least, Meckell is
amazing. Oh, I'm glad that I said that. That feels really important. That feels important.
You really are.
Yeah.
You really are. I really appreciate that I've met you on my own personal healing journey. I've been able to be in space with you. I mean, you are amazing, Meckell. And I'm so, that was such a moment to hear you say it about yourself. Because I see it, so I hope you see it.
Thank you. It's ongoing work, really, to see that and to claim that and not feel guilty about saying that, But also the amazingness in you is able to see that, like we are reflections of each other. And as someone who knows you personally, I feel grateful to have met you. And, when people are like, look at the people in your friend circle, this kind of gives you some insight on where you're at and like where your head's at, and just you can learn more about yourself. And so knowing that you are in my circle, I feel really grateful when I see the work that you're doing and how you show up and how you work to continuously show up for yourself and other folks in a way that's really nourishing.
Ashe.
Thank you.
Ashe, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a dream interview, everyone. when I thought about BOI Meets Wellness, Meckell was one of the first folks that came to mind, and I'm so excited that you're expanding your work and providing it for the world, especially for Black folks. So Black women, gender non-conforming, trans folks, reach out, please step into this work. And there's so many different ways to access it, which you've done beautifully, right? And I really appreciate that. So thank you for being here, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Good people, this is Meckell, and I am born, obviously, incredible.
Thanks for listening to BOI Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at BOI Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time, go